There is a massive debate going on in the Helldivers 2 community right now. Meta versus anti-meta. Now, some of you might be wondering, what in the world am I talking about? What's going on, guys? My name is AFEX, and I'm going to be explaining this whole debate, trying to give some factual information on it, as well as my take, so stay tuned. And if I sound like I have a little bit of like a lisp or like a speech impediment, and this is your first time seeing me, I have a really bad cold sore, so bear with my voice here. There's seemingly two types of Helldivers players. On one side of the coin, you have the meta players, using certain stratagems and weapons in combination with each other to optimize gameplay and be more efficient with time and resources, all in hopes of clearing a mission with minimal struggle. This is something you typically do in the higher end difficulties like Impossible, Seppuku, or Helldive, where you're likely going to be punished for loading into an operation with a fuck it we ball mentality. Right now you might be saying, AFEX, I'm new to this, what in the world is a meta? No, we're not talking about Facebook and Instagram, so allow me to explain. The term meta is a shortening of the full word, metagame. According to Wikipedia, quote, a metagame is a game about a game, or an approach to playing game. In competitive games, the metagame can refer to the most popular strategy, often called a game's meta, or preparation for a match in general, end quote. If that still doesn't make a whole lot of sense, I'm gonna use the old days of Fortnite as a prime example. Back in Chapter 1 Season 2 of Fortnite, often referred to as Prime Fortnite, the consensus best weapon in the game was the pump shotgun. Its consistent damage output and one-shot kill capability made it a monster to deal with. Combine that with a questionably lengthy range and the ability to use two of them in succession, and you had something so unbelievably strong that Epic Games themselves had to do something about it. In this instance, the pump shotgun is an example of a meta. It was the strongest and most popular weapon in the game, leaving it as the overwhelming favorite option among players. Now, comparatively in Helldivers, you could probably say that the meta weapon of choice among most players would be the SG-225 Breaker Shotgun. Its ability to clear waves of weaker enemies as well as hold its own against some of the stronger enemies in the game without burning through too much of your ammo reserve gives it an edge over its competition, or simply put, other weapons in the game. Now, an example of a meta stratagem would probably be the shield generator pack. It's a shield generator as a backpack. What is not to love?
What the hell was that?
It'll stop terminates from staggering you, it'll block a missile from automatons, and it's just overall gonna increase your survivability. But obviously that's not the only meta stratagem. There's plenty of others that I could rattle off on a tier list for hours, but I'll just name a select choice more. The Eagle Airstrike, Railgun, Expendable Anti-Tank, Mortar Turret, EMS Mortar Sentry, Grenade Launcher, Autocannon, Orbital Laser, and the list goes on. Now that we've established an idea of meta, let's look at the other side of the spectrum, aka the anti-metas or something. Anti-meta has two distinct definitions. One of those definitions of anti-meta is opposite or derivative of whatever the defined meta is. Using that Fortnite pump shotgun example again, instead of giving into using the pump/double pump meta, people use the tactical shotgun as an anti-meta option because they felt like using the pump was corny or not using it because everyone else liked using it. In the most respectful way possible, the root of this player behavior is one of two things. Trying to be different for the sake of being different, doing the opposite of what's popular, or they just genuinely want to play the game a different way and have fun doing whatever they want to do. Now, the other definition of anti-meta is more of a PvP game context. In layman's terms, it's using something that directly counters the most popular option. In the Fortnite example, the tactical shotgun wasn't better than the pump, but fired a lot quicker. So if you could outmaneuver your opponent and punish them for missing shots or forcing lower damage shots, you'd have a good chance of winning the fight. Another way of looking at it is if you've ever played Destiny or even card games like Pokemon TCG or Magic the Gathering, that definition probably makes a lot more sense to the majority of you. Hopefully. Now, I already hear you.
But AFEX, Helldivers isn't a PvP game. Why are people arguing about anti-meta and meta if it doesn't directly affect them?
At a surface level, without digging any further, I'd ask myself the same question. And in fact, I did. Not even a week ago, I sat in my chair and asked myself, why the fuck are we arguing about this? But then I thought to myself, surely gamers and content creators always have rational reasoning for why they bitch and moan about the most pointless arguments, right? No. The answer is no. But I went digging for the answers anyway. After hours of sifting through the depths of Twitter and Reddit, and even some of the Helldivers Discord, I found an overwhelming issue that I figured would eventually arise, just not so soon into the game's lifespan. Ladies and gentlemen, the root of this whole debate on both sides of the coin is a classic case of gatekeeping. That's right, it's already happening. It could have started from anywhere on any platform, but it appears this Steam discussion post on the Helldivers 2 page might have started it all. Appropriately and argumentatively titled, "We need to set the standard for 8+ difficulty missions." Oh boy. The post was taken down, so you guys are going to have to settle for the screenshot I have of it. The post reads as the following. If they're using anything but the right breaker gun, kick. If they don't have either railgun or nade launcher, kick. Not using a shield, kick. And in parentheses here, high levels, your stupid dogs are pointless. It is not about killing, it is about living to do objectives. Some would argue autocannon, but the game's armor is not working, so shield is a must on the higher levels. I've seen too many wasted spots with autocannon players. We need to set a standard for high rank pub play. You can have your silly builds or weak guns on your own time or friend's time, but if you are not using these things, you are trolling and should be kicked. And he never even ended that parenthesis. Funnily enough, I saw this message by a Helldivers Discord user earlier talking about the dude who made the original Steam post and how he matchmade with him earlier, detailing that he swiftly killed him. Discourse soon moved away from this individual user and to the argument overall. Even IGN made an entire article out of players getting kicked over the meta debacle. And while I would read over some of the Reddit posts I've found, it's just a lot of toxic shit with no real perspective, only a few of the posts being more tame, which I've been showing on screen. For the first time in my life, Twitter is the more rational side of the pond. Wait a minute. How the fuck did we let that happen? Reddit dudes, y'all need to be ashamed of yourselves. Dear baby Jesus, man. Twitter is seemingly a mixed bag on the debate. At PGB121 saying, if you kick people in Helldivers for not using meta, to me, you're unfun and a traitor to Super Earth. At Infinity122PC replies to that tweet adding, meta snobbing in Helldivers is hilarious because 3/4 of the options you could bring into a mission are solid, lol. Noobs showed up with EAT, launchers, and MG, and the basic orbital precision strike. It's your crowd killer right there. At Aethernaut92 said, I honestly can't stand the fact that even in PvE titles, we need to hang on to a meta and find what's absolutely optimal, even when Helldivers 2 encourages players more to experiment with different loadouts and use what they enjoy, rather than complete and utter optimization. The war of anti-meta versus meta was getting heated on all socials. But then there's a small subset between those two sides that just don't give a shit. They're just gonna play the game. At Delta Legionnaire chiming in, who cares about meta in Helldivers 2 when me and my laser rover are in a loving relationship? At Kasul tweeted out, Helldivers is going through its meta discourse, and as a super citizen, I'm gonna tell you the only DPS you should give a shit about as a Helldiver is your democracy per second. At Chadlin97 made it pretty clear what he's about, saying, meta in Helldivers is simple. Must exterminate Terminids at all costs. And more power to those of you who don't care. That's awesome. You're doing what you're supposed to do. Enjoy the damn game. Now, I kind of want to give you my take on this whole debate because who would I be discussing the whole background behind it and not giving my personal take, my perspective, so I'm going to kind of give that to you here. To give you guys some background, I'm a former and currently part-time Destiny player. I've been playing Destiny since launch in 2014, and I used to just play the game for fun up until Destiny 2. I'd use what I felt like using, and I'd beat or wouldn't beat the more difficult content in the game. Then, when I found out about Destiny's unique PvE and PvP metagame in the era of the Forsaken DLC and beyond, I devoted myself to optimizing my loadouts and grinding for the best perk rolls in my weapons so I could steam through endgame content with my friends and other fellow Guardians. When I first started playing Helldivers, I instantly saw the potential, and while I've been too lazy to figure out the most optimal loadouts, it's what I personally aim to do in the future. Use whatever the meta is while also trying to find other game-breaking new metas. That's how I want to play the game. That's how I can make the game fun for me. But I know not everyone swings that way, so to speak. It is completely fine to not use the meta or whatever the best loadout is or the best stratagems are, but my biggest problem is something I've been hearing of recently is people intentionally going into other people's missions with really shitty loadouts and trying to ruin that person's experience with the game. It's been few and far between, but the fact that they've heard of it is really, really saddening to me. It's a fucked up thing to do, and if you're doing it, please stop. Come on, man, what do you really have to gain? To sum up this whole thing in a neat little bow, it's as simple as this. Players using meta should not shame anyone not using meta stratagems and weapons unless they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that a person is intentionally trying to ruin their gameplay experience, which usually isn't the case. Players not using meta / are on the anti-meta side of the fence shouldn't be shaming people using meta to enhance and make their experience easier. It's most likely the way they like to have fun. You use what you want, and they use what they want. But the point of this whole video and everything we looked over, in my opinion, it's pretty cut and dry. Play the game how you have fun playing. Don't shame anyone for playing how they want to play unless that somehow, in some way, is directly affecting your experience. If we can all learn to do that and abide by that, we can all happily coexist and everything's gonna be fine. That is going to be all for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, I would appreciate if you liked, commented, and subscribed, because I'm really trying to grow this channel and push my videos out to people who would love to see Helldivers content, and I plan on doing a lot more of it in the future. I hope you guys have a tremendous rest of your day. I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace out.